Welcome back to the Perfected Health Podcast. This is episode 10, Magnesium. We are back with Victor after that excellent presentation on kefir 2 weeks ago. If you guys haven't checked that out, you definitely should, as it is the most important thing I have included in my diet. And more recently, magnesium, which is something I've had deficiencies in for a while and something I've been working on. We're going to explain why the average person, and probably over 90% of people watching this video, are magnesium deficient, why it's so important, and how to incorporate various things into your daily life.
Yeah, awesome. Glad to be back, Frank. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Magnesium is so important. And probably if someone's watching this, right, exactly, I'm sure they're deficient, or at least 90% of those people. And it's important for like so many things. I couldn't even fit it all on like the board behind me. Uh, some people are aware of some of the obvious or simple things like relieving migraines or getting rid of sore muscles. Some people might know about that, but it's critical for so many other things, your
I
hormone health.
just thought it's
Okay.
actually sold in CVS and Walgreens as magnesium citrate. It's a laxative.
Yes, right. That's another one. And I don't even think I bothered putting that up here, but that's one of the most common things. And it's ironic because it works really good as a laxative, which means you're probably also not really absorbing the magnesium from that supplement, which is sad because, again, as we said, we're deficient. But yeah, that's another really good one. And so I think it really slides under the radar because it's literally like a miracle cure for so many things, for many different heart conditions or anything connected to our electrical health, which is also like, again, the idea with like muscle spasms and cramps and such. But also, for making strong bones, for helping to keep the calcium out of your arteries, right? It's important for a lot of helping or assisting in a lot of other minerals. It's really a coenzyme for assisting like 300 or 400 other enzymes in the body. So we can really we can go on for so many things. And for me, maybe one of the most critical things is it's so important for detox. We'll burn up a lot of magnesium for detox. And again, the people watching or listening to this, they're probably very toxic. And so they're going to need assistance with detox, and magnesium is going to help with that. And also boosting energy, etc.
Yeah, it seems like all of those things you mentioned are almost ways that the magnesium deficiency is manifesting itself. It's
Yeah,
one thing. It's one thing to say that magnesium does positive things, or the other way we could say it is because you don't have enough magnesium, you're experiencing negative or you're not optimal in all of these aspects. So, before we
right.
go really in depth on each of those functions of magnesium, we have to explain why you're deficient and the different lifestyle and modern factors that are causing that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's interesting is like we're both fans of the Western Price Foundation or Western Price diet. People that are basically eating perfect like our ancestors did, they're still very likely to be deficient in magnesium because all the plants, the animals, and the soil are deficient in magnesium because we've raped the soils of it and we don't replenish it, right, with the fertilizers, etc. So that's, I guess that's the key thing is we just are no longer able, or most people are no longer able to get magnesium from their diet. You can't, you basically have to supplement, but you got to supplement the right way.
Yeah, people think on the carnivore diet just because meat has some magnesium in it that it's enough. And that, oh, the magnesium in plants isn't bioavailable. So now that I'm carnivore
Mm,
and I'm getting highly bioavailable magnesium, then it's going to be okay. But that's absolutely not the case.
right, right. Well, yeah, and I guess you would know from lots of experience with so many of the clients you've worked with on carnivore. Yeah, so right, that's the problem, right? We just can't. I mean, I would love to say we can, right? We still want to get the best diet we can so that we don't have to supplement as much. But there's like two supplements that I always recommend to my clients, and magnesium is one of them. With
Yeah, me
regard
too.
to
Like
nutrients, yeah,
every
it's
single consultation I've ever had, basically 500 milligrams of magnesium, minimal without question.
right, right. And then we get into the trick of, are they actually absorbing that?
Mhm.
Right. So that's the other complicated factor when we get into the magnesium. So, As most people are probably aware, I always try to push people towards magnesium oil, which is not actually an oil, but I always try to push people that way because, again, right, most of your clients or most of the people watching or listening to us, they have digestive issues, they have health issues. Their magnesium absorption is very likely compromised. They could end up getting diarrhea from taking the magnesium supplement. And so, if we go topically with magnesium oil, which is not an oil, it just feels like an oil, but it's magnesium chloride.
Yeah, it's the magnesium oil is magnesium chloride, magnesium
Mm-hmm.
with bound to the chloride molecule, and it's sold as like a spray. So you like
Mm-hmm.
spray it on your body. And some of you guys that watched my channel a couple years back probably remember I was going crazy with magnesium oil for like 2 or 3 weeks, just and I looked like I was some sort of weird flaking pastry because of the
The
oil drying.
salt,
Yeah, it was
yeah,
drying.
yeah.
The salt was drying out on my skin and flaking all over the place.
Oh,
It
that's
looked kind
funny.
of crazy. And I stopped because it was just irritating my skin so much.
Hmm.
But I should
Yeah.
have probably kept to it.
Well, one trick to that is mixing MSM in with the magnesium oil. And there is actually even one brand. So I make my own and always advise my clients to do it because it's so much cheaper. And then you can control the saturation rates, how much magnesium you mix with your distilled water, and also how much MSM you add. So in that case, regardless of your skin type, you'll be able to get a situation where it's not too irritating. Because yeah, it'll itch, it'll burn, and that's mostly because you're deficient, but some people are also have very sensitive skin.
So what do you just take some magnesium chloride with some water and MSM and mix it together in a spray bottle and just spray it all
Exa-
over the place?
exactly, exactly. And then you
Make
spray
sure to
don't
rinse out the Windex before you do that, boys.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah, and then so you find the ratios that are comfortable for you, and then you also find the areas on your body,
Yeah.
like I actually do my head since I usually don't have hair there,
Yeah.
which is good because you'll actually more likely to get direct absorption to the organs. So they'll tell you spray it over your organs.
Yeah.
It's a good.
Let's jump back to so we know that modern diet doesn't have enough magnesium.
Mhm.
Regardless of what food you're eating, unless you eat a quarter pound of chocolate every day, you're not getting a significant amount of magnesium. One thing that we should mention is, the reason a lot of people drink coffee is probably because the small magnesium content of coffee and the caffeine can kind of alleviate a lot of stress of the magnesium deficiency and also possibly some EMF factors. But we have to consider that there's antagonistic minerals and vitamins to magnesium that are much, much higher in our modern diets and lifestyles. So you have calcium is one. You have even
Right,
people I mean, a lot of people are supplementing vitamin D without magnesium, which is a big issue.
right,
Imagine you supplement vitamin D for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, which I did without taking magnesium. There's a whole
right.
lot of modern health solutions and ways people are making themselves magnesium deficient just by trying to fix their health in other ways.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned the vitamin D because that's kind of really trendy for everybody to really mega dose on vitamin D, and that will deplete magnesium, boron, a lot of different things because it needs a lot of metabolites. So that, like you said, there's all of these kind of hidden hazards, and of course, there most people again tend to have too much calcium, not enough magnesium. Magnesium will actually raise your vitamin D levels, which is another without needing to do the extra supplementation of the D. So, with all things being equal, if you just add magnesium, you're probably going to see your D levels go up, which is quite interesting. Yeah, so we do have to be careful, which again is why I really don't like to supplement, right? We want to get our nutrients from the food, but again, magnesium is one of those exceptions, and you can really supplement with a lot of magnesium without without worrying so much about like damaging yourself. Not we can overdose on anything, right? So I mean, you take too much water, you can kill yourself. But generally speaking, it's a very safe thing to take in a supplement
What's
form.
not safe is people taking all this potassium.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, you're
I
right.
mean, I did a video on potassium. It was actually titled "Stop Taking Potassium," I think. And at the beginning of the video, I basically screamed at the camera, "Stop taking potassium."
Mm,
I mean,
Right,
especially the keto people, they're probably depleting their magnesium like crazy.
right,
They're depleting
right,
their sodium. They're causing all of these issues.
right. Yeah, right. It is very risky to supplement anything in isolation. What's interesting is when we're supplementing, like again, my favorite is the magnesium chloride. The chloride is also a very good thing to get into the body, right? It's very helpful for us. So that's again, your supplement. The goal is supplementing with magnesium when we're talking about magnesium oil, but we're getting actually two good supplements that are coming into the body in a very safe way. And we're, again, if we go topical, we don't have to worry about the issues with the digestive system.
Mhm.
So it's no diarrhea. We know we're getting good absorption. We can target areas. It's Yeah, it's just really good to
Yeah,
supplement that
back to
way.
the vitamin D stuff. What you can do is you can test your blood levels for 25 OHD, which
Hmm.
is going to be
Right.
basically your, how much is being stored in the body, and then you can test for
Hmm.
calcidiol, calcitriol, which are going to be active forms of vitamin D. So, I mean, those tests can be expensive, and it might be hard to get your doctor to
Right.
do that. But
Right.
when one's going to be substantially higher, like this, if the storage form is substantially higher than the active form, there's likely a magnesium deficiency. And when you start taking vitamin D and getting insomnia, that's also a sign of a magnesium deficiency and that you have an excess of vitamin D stored in your body. So if you guys are watching this and you've been supplementing vitamin D for years and you haven't taken magnesium, what you basically have to do is, stop the D3, probably supplement a ton of magnesium, supplement some K2 for months to even a year or two. It's not, exactly a
Hmm.
quick
Hmm.
fix.
Yeah, I'm glad I should have had sleep written up here actually, because that's a big one. I actually put my magnesium oil on at night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to make sure it helps. And that is another, it's another very interesting point about the testing. So our testing for all the different things is really pretty terrible. So we still know so little. We're still not able to test for everything. And magnesium also has this issue because mostly they're going to test for magnesium serum levels in the blood. And that can be high or it can be adequate and you'll still be deficient because what's really important is the ionic magnesium at the cellular level. And so the blood serum tests for magnesium do not give us an indication of that. So that's another issue. Testing is a big problem with so many things, with the vitamin D2, because the doctors don't dig deep enough, and we have so many different tests. So the best way to make sure we have what we need is to eat the right foods, and in the case of magnesium, to supplement, and then kind of listen to the body. Like you said, I think sleep, that's another really good thing. Right, it's gonna, you mentioned earlier about how it's going to manifest, right? That deficiency is going to manifest in so many different ways, and it's going to be different for different people. Like some people, it could be asthma, right? And this is related to the muscular contractions, and supplementing with magnesium can make asthma go away for some people, right? So that deficiency can really manifest in a lot of different ways, and for a lot of people, it is a sleep issue that surfaces. So that's another
Yeah, we
really
should
good
definitely
one.
touch on modern calcium intake and
Mm,
how calcium is a direct antagonist to magnesium. And I've heard it on more than one occasion that if you take X amount of calcium, you should take at least the equivalent amount of magnesium or more.
yeah, I like that. I like that advice. It sounds really good to me.
So
So
if
I would,
you're,
yeah,
drinking a lot of dairy, if you're eating a lot of dairy products, milk,
yep.
cheese, dairy is the big issue here. If you're
Hmm.
consuming a lot of dairy on a daily basis, you probably need to supplement over 1,000 milligrams of magnesium per day, maybe even closer to 1,500, which sounds absolutely crazy.
Mm,
Now, if you're drinking a high mineral water like Gerolsteiner, which is maybe 200 milligrams of calcium and 100 milligrams of magnesium, then you're going to have to supplement a little more magnesium than normal. So keep in mind, do you have a super high bioavailable calcium source in your diet, particularly the dairy, particularly the mineral water, that you need to counterbalance with some
right,
more with some more magnesium.
right, right. Broth can be very helpful for some. Again, though, right, we never know how much magnesium is in the animals and the plants, but broth is another good source for the minerals and the magnesium. If you're doing the broth the right way, right, and it is coming from really good, healthy animals on that are raised on good pasture, etc. Yeah, so there, I mean, there's a lot to look out for, but again, yeah, I think the magnesium oil makes it pretty, I want to say makes it pretty easy. And again, that's going to depend on the person. Some people hate the idea of spraying something on their body, right? And they might feel irritation. Some people are more sensitive. But you might also see amazing results in all, in so many of these different areas. So you never know, right? You
Mhm.
never know. It depends how, again, how that deficiency is manifested in you. You might see if it comes to like bone strength, right? So in the elderly, they've probably already got issues with their bones, osteoporosis, etc. And the doctors tell them to just take calcium, right? So many people say, yeah, look,
Horrible. Yeah.
right? And it is like suicide, right? And it only just makes the issue worse. And now we get the hardening of the arteries, right? So we need the magnesium, the vitamin D, the
Yeah. I mean,
boron, the
I've
K2.
I talked about this even 2 years ago. I had a video
Uh,
titled "Calcium is Dangerous." It's so horrible.
yes, that's one of I would agree. I mean, like our cells are calcified. There's a lot of really cool therapies that I like for getting the calcium out of the cells. Like the I know I can't even think off the top of my head the names, but there's a lot in different cultures. There are different therapies for like the deep tissue massage, where we're literally breaking up the calcification, right, and trying to get that calcium out at the cellular level, because right, that's how toxic calcium is. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, the heart disease, stroke, all of these different things. I mean, calcium is a culprit.
Yeah, I did a video
Right?
on calcification too, and I explained how your bones have the osteoblasts and the osteoclasts, and the cells in your bone matrix behave in a certain way. But once there's excess calcium in the body, soft tissue cells start behaving like bone cells, and it's really,
Mhm.
really crazy. And then they start storing calcium in different parts of the body. So once
Yeah.
you have a certain calcium threshold that you've reached, and then you're not getting enough D3, you're not getting enough K2, you're not getting enough magnesium, all of the other cofactors and
Mm.
antagonists to magnesium, everything you need to remove it and use, not magnesium, to calcium. So you're not getting everything you're needing to use up that calcium. Your body just stores it everywhere.
Mm.
So it's like a
Right.
lifelong
Yep.
accumulation almost.
Yeah.
And then your body is just at this, you know, hypersensitive state where it's almost impossible to fix. And you're going to doctors, people in hospitals.
Right. Right. Exactly. And they don't even think about looking at that. It's like a slow death, right? You're slowly just turning to stone, but it definitely can be reversed. And magnesium is really key to that. So it's really amazing. Our ability to recover is miraculous. It's incredible. We just have to know the right ways to recover, right? So we can't just suck the calcium out of the body. It's not that simple, right? So you try to get it out of one place, it's going to end up in another area. So you got to balance. And magnesium is a key point. And the D, yeah, and I know you talk a lot about the vitamin D, and a lot of people know about that. The K2, I think, is also more trendy. A lot more people are aware of the K2. Magnesium is a little bit more of a secret. Boron is another one that's pretty important. But
You got
magnesium,
any boron bros watching?
are there?
It's an inside joke. Yeah, I
That's
remember
cool.
maybe last year, the year before, I had people just commenting about boron on my channel every day, like boron's a miracle. If you take boron every day, it boosts your testosterone. And yeah,
Oh
maybe
man,
some people are so deficient in boron that once they take it, they feel a little better. But taking
that's
it on a
funny.
consistent basis is by no means going to give you the same boost of fixing a deficiency.
Right, right. Yeah. So yeah, and you don't need a lot of boron. You don't need a lot. So it is tricky to get, but yet magnesium we need a lot more of, because we can really burn up so much magnesium. And it's just it's important for so many things.
Yeah, so we have roughly 25 grams of body storage, according to some questionable Google sources. But do we have an estimation of how much magnesium the body is using a day? I would imagine it can be well over 1 gram.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, again, like if we consider the audience of people that are listening to us, they're likely very toxic. They're going to burn up a lot more than the average person. So I think I won't say it's exponential. I'm not sure where the range can be, but the range will be really dramatic on how much we can use in a day. because when you're detoxing, or if you're an athlete and you're a toxic athlete, which again, most athletes are toxic, they got a bad diet, you can burn up. So if you bring in, what happens is if you bring in a lot more magnesium, your body's just going to detox better and using that magnesium. So you can keep bringing in more. And there are signs, if you start getting like how crazy heart palpitations and stuff, you'll know you've gone too far. But it's pretty hard to go overboard on the magnesium. Unless you're taking internally. That's because then we're going to get like really crazy digestive issues with bad diarrhea, right? So that's where we'd have to
Yeah, no,
really
the
worry about
second
it.
you take too much magnesium orally, you're gonna know.
Right, right, exactly. And what's sad is that can make you back off, and you're
Yeah.
still going to be deficient most
A
likely.
safe dose, I would say, to start is 100 milligrams orally. That's on an empty stomach. If you go above 100 milligrams on an empty stomach, you might feel a little queasy. Uh, then with a meal, you can probably take a few hundred pretty safe, 3, 4, 500, and not really feel anything. Once you go over that, though, depending on the person, depending on the type of magnesium, uh, that's the issue. So let's just
Right.
jump real quick into chelations and different types of magnesium. Uh, First, I want to
Mm,
mention magnesium oxide, which is what they've been putting in supplements for probably dozens of years because it's cheap, has an
right,
incredibly low bioavailability. I think it's like 2 or 3%. It's insane. It doesn't even
right.
work, and it's actually it's pretty much poison. So magnesium oxide, which you'll see in most supplements, even multivitamins now, still very, very popular, is what you
Hmm.
absolutely want to avoid. Magnesium citrate, which I like to refer to as shitrate, because
Right,
it's the laxative.
right.
Makes it's
It's
not
good as
that,
a laxative.
yeah, it's not that great on the stomach.
Good as a
It doesn't,
laxative. Yeah,
it might absorb okay, but if
yeah.
it doesn't just completely, you know, destroy your bowels. Glycinate, however you want to say it, is definitely the best one. It's, magnesium bound to the glycine molecule. Not only are you
Mhm.
getting magnesium, you're getting glycine,
Mm.
which people also are typically deficient in. It's pretty easy on the stomach. And you said what? You said there's some hype
Malate.
around some. Yeah, there's malate. I think
Malate's good
malate's pretty
too.
good too. Yeah,
Yeah, malate has been one of my favorite ones because they are for internal, because it's popular for slow release capsules, so there's less chance of the
I see.
digestive issues. So you get that steady stream. So it's a pretty good one. And theanate, the L theanate is again a popular trendy one that you'll see, supposedly better for brain health, better brain absorption. But again, this is really not true. Like all of these magnesium supplements, they're tiny nanoparticles. They're basically going to get everywhere. But as you said, they're not really as bioavailable because of the different molecules, right? But they're small enough to cross the blood brain barrier.
Yeah, let's just back to the chelations. When we say malate, we mean malic acid. It's usually a food
Mhm.
additive. I mean, apples have like different types of acid and flavors in foods, like citric acid, malic acid, which malic tends to be more sour. So they're probably extracting it from some type of food. The theanine, which is the magnesium L-threonate, is actually some type of amino acid found in plants, which you
Mhm.
could argue isn't really natural. Then you have the glycine, which is probably made from like agrochemical meat waste or something. So obviously, not
Right,
no supplement is perfect. There's always
right,
a downside to a supplement, but unfortunately, it's the only real way you can get this realistically. It's the only way you can do it. A lot of people
mhm,
are averse to supplementing. A lot of people,
right.
especially the raw primal dieters, are very, very, very averse to supplementing, which is horrible because they consume a lot of dairy. They don't want to take anything. They never fix their issues.
Mhm.
But there's lesser evils, and a small amount of oxidative stress from how the supplement was made is certainly, I mean, it's not comparable to having a magnesium deficiency.
Right. Well, my favorite is the magnesium chloride. The magnesium chloride, I think, is so. I would argue with anybody that that is the absolute best way to supplement, even if you want to do it internally, because it's so flexible to
Yeah,
use it.
it's chloride. It's basically,
Yeah, just magnesium and
yeah.
two chloride atoms attached to one magnesium atom. So it's a very simple thing. And again, using topically, but you can use it internally too.
Oh, we
The
should really mention is those um those trace mineral seawater supplements and how they're actually
Oh,
toxic.
well, they're mostly magnesium oxide in those supplements, which
There
yes,
was
it's not so good.
there were some that were just people were getting kidney damage and horrible
Yes.
issues, liver
So,
damage, destroying their organs and body.
right.
Let me actually just get the name of that company just to make sure you guys don't. It's very, very popular. It's scary. Uh, it's called really just Trace Mineral Drops. It's very, very popular brand. Thousands, probably millions and millions of people have it in the
Oh,
United States,
concentrates. You're
especially.
talking about concentrates. I actually like concentrates, but it's abused, like
There's
most
been
things. Yeah.
problems. I'm not sure if it's with concentrate specifically,
Or
but
another brand, maybe.
I think it might actually be concentrates. There's people that have had heavy metal issues, kidney damage, liver damage from that. You could just read they're old. I don't know if
Mhm.
they deleted the reviews, but I took it. I felt horrible, and it tastes horrible too. I would be careful with something like that, mainly because I saw those reviews of people having kidney damage.
Is it?
I'd be careful.
There's a lot of things out there that sell these mineral packets that you add to water to make your own mineral
Those are
water.
probably just as bad too
Exactly.
because of the
Those are
ratios.
right.
Oh yeah, we definitely
I
have to
hate
touch on
those things.
electrolyte supplements.
Yeah.
They don't have the right
Right.
ratios. They don't have the right
Right.
collations. It's
Right.
horrible, horrible, horrible.
Cool. So yeah, there's an interesting thing with the electrolytes because a lot of people end up being electrolyte deficient, but then electrolytes are a really trendy, hot topic. Tons of things on the market. So then a lot of people end up overdoing the electrolytes. And
Yeah,
that's what leads to the
we
kidney
should maybe
damage.
we could do our next podcast on electrolytes.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
Point is be
Yeah.
careful.
Yes, right. Be careful. You listen to your
You
body
don't need
because
to
you
take them.
right.
Be
You
careful.
can
You don't really need to take them.
right. Yeah, if you're basically if people are listening to your videos, they're doing kefir, they're doing broth, they have a good diet, they got all the electrolytes they need. I
They
mean,
don't need it.
it's they just don't need to do anything extra. I got the same issue with a lot of clients that I deal with, like because maybe like seawater is another trendy thing, and then people are doing that on top of everything else, and I'm like, no, stop the seawater, you're going to destroy your kidneys.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so
destroy
right, you want to
kidneys
be
is a
careful.
bit of an understatement. It's oh
Right.
my
Yeah.
god.
Right. So you want to be careful. And it's the same thing with these magnesium supplements. Like we don't know what they're putting in it. In fact, the thing, the oh my god, the magnesium. I just forgot the name of the supplement. Mercola, Dr. Mercola likes to sell it. The threonine.
Yeah, they need.
That's a patented. That's actually a patented product. Okay, which is interesting because you mentioned a lot of these things aren't really natural, and that's a pretty good example. And that's the reason why it gets pushed, right? Because they're making money. Whereas magnesium chloride, again, this is a pretty natural thing. Like it's sold in Japan as Nigati salt. It's relatively easy, so there's no patents locking it up. And you don't now even there too. When you're looking for magnesium chloride, you don't need to spend 10 times as much to get some special magnesium chloride.
Yeah, there's a lot of marketing BS, and that's how a
Right,
lot of these companies make money. They
right,
hype something up. I mean, they have all types of scummy marketing tactics. But if someone's
right,
trying to sell you the world as a supplement, something fishy's up.
right, exactly, exactly. So yeah, be careful. Don't get pulled in by all that marketing hype. Magnesium is definitely super important, and you probably most likely you need it, and you need quite a bit. But
I
just
mean, if
choose
you have to just
carefully.
really think about things, take a step back, say, hey,
Mm,
let's look at the key. We spoke about the chelations. Well, yeah, glycine, chloride, they're obviously the most natural ones. It's almost like salt and then glycine, the
yeah,
amino acid. It's very, very simple. And you actually
right.
look into what it is. It's kind of hard because people don't really think like that anymore.
Right, right. Well, and we get brainwashed by all the marketing. And there's actually a lot of good people that are promoting bad products because
Mhm.
even they get roped in, they get brainwashed. The same thing, I like to look at doctors as victims rather than the bad guys because they've been brainwashed, they've been coerced, etc. And they don't look deep enough. And so
Mhm.
we need to really dig deep and understand what's going on. And then, like in my experience, I see the magic. And if you want, one of my heroes is Dr. Carolyn Dean, and she got this book, The Magnesium Miracle, and that was what that like really opened my eyes. And but even she, and I mean, I love her, but even she sells her product called Remag, but it's just magnesium chloride.
Mhm.
So you could still actually go out and make your own magnesium oil much cheaper. So for people that are really on a budget, and they're thinking, oh man, I got to go out and I got to like spend more money on another supplement. You can make this pretty cheap, and again too, like I mentioned, you want to, maybe you want to add MSM into that. MSM is also cheap,
Mhm.
and you can make, you spend a little
Actually,
money,
I
it
think I
lasts a
have a
long
bottle
time.
of it right here. Hold on.
Do you? Oh, that would be awesome. I think I don't have any within reach.
Yeah, I actually haven't used
Oh,
this in a while.
is that ancient
Yeah.
minerals?
Yeah. Ancient
Yep.
minerals.
Yeah. Okay. So if
Uh,
that's the
magnesium
brand.
oil.
Yep.
It's water and magnesium chloride, and I probably paid 20
Bingo.
bucks for this plastic bottle.
Right. Right. Exactly. That is, what's funny is I always tell people make your own, but some people look, it's worth the convenience to pay the money. That's the brand I recommend. Ancient Minerals has one called Ultra, and it just has MSM added into it. And that's enough. Again, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
And
guys, I'll put that on my Amazon shop.
yeah,
We'll link that down below for you guys,
cool.
if
Yeah,
you guys are
definitely.
interested.
What's nice is you'll notice on their product, there's no other additional garbage there.
Hmm.
I mean, you just read the ingredients. That's all there is. And the same thing, their Ultra one just has MSM added in, and they use a good MSM in there. So it's, yeah, good stuff. I got nothing against Ancient Minerals. Good product. And same thing. I have clients; they get good results with that too. And you see amazing things. I give you an example.
Just before you jump
Yeah,
into that, can you
yeah.
briefly explain what MSM is and just confirm that it's a transdermal absorption?
Ah, yes. Okay, so it is basically one atom of sulfur with two clusters of CH3, two methyl groups.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all MSM is. We as humans, we always had MSM because it comes down in the rain. Okay, so we were rained on, all our plants or animals had it. We consumed so much MSM. And that's another, like, we can do an hour-long video on all the things it's good for. It helps with methylation, it helps with detox. It's a precursor to glutathione, precursor to collagen. Sulfur is essential. Um, so the reason why it's helpful with the magnesium is because MSM, sometimes you'll hear people say it's a carrier, but what it really does is it reduces the energy required for your cells to absorb and excrete. That's why it helps with detox, and it helps the magnesium get into the cells. And it's also soothing for the skin. So while also making your skin feel better, it's helping the magnesium absorb better into the skin and actually even penetrate through through the skin layers, all these layers of the skin, get down in there, get into the bloodstream, etc. So MSM is it's a simple molecule, but again, I have a pretty long
Yeah.
video
Is
on it.
there a loose comparison we can make MSM versus NAC?
Oh man, in fact, I have a video where I talk about that with I'll give a shout out actually to the Candida Slayer,
Hmm.
Marjo, because yes, absolutely. So it's funny that you hit on that because they're very similar. NAC would argue, NAC would arguably be better for the liver, right? Because they're not the same exact molecules, but a lot of the same impact. But I prefer MSM. So I don't have anything against NAC, but I don't recommend it because with the MSM, you can consume so much MSM, consuming it and using it topically. So you could actually like go up to consuming 3 tablespoons a day. Yeah, as a protocol on its own or with other things. And its support for detox is enormous. And again, in tandem with the magnesium, it's fantastic. So that is the only other supplement I recommend. So you just kind of gave away my two secret supplements.
Hmm.
So when it comes to nutrients, MSM and magnesium,
Hmm.
yeah, and yeah, and they're a great duo. So
Yeah. I guess before we jump into a little more in depth on the importance of those components of magnesium, we could talk about it being a calcium channel blocker. So with Wi-Fi EMF radiation, the mechanism through which it causes oxidative stress is it flushes calcium out of the cells basically and into cells. Just calcium where it shouldn't be. Way too much calcium in the cells, way
mhm.
too much calcium around the body, in your brain, in your organs, everywhere. So since magnesium regulates calcium, it alleviates it to some degree. By no means does taking like a bottle of magnesium protect you from Wi-Fi, but it's certainly going to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think your the help might not be immediate, right? But you need to get the calcium out. And magnesium is definitely going to assist with that. Um, and it's a I don't know how much detail I could get into on all the different ways it works for that because with regards to the EMF, because it's not only the calcium. Calcium is a huge thing, but our electrical health in general is so important. And so magnesium is working not only with calcium but with many other minerals. And so we need to balance everything. We need to detox again all of that stuff. We need to get the heavy metals out, etc. And so it helps in a lot of different ways. And the reason why we're more vulnerable to EMFs is because too much calcium, too much heavy metals, the absence of other important electrolytes such as magnesium that allow us to, I don't know if you, electrical regulation would not be, is not a scientific term, but when we're talking about like heart health and everything else, magnesium definitely helps with that. So the electrical health of your body is very important. And I think you've probably talked about grounding a lot and sunshine and all of these things contributed to it. So like when we have a battery, right? So to have a battery technology, for example, is really very important, right? Like one battery is superior to another because of its chemical composition. It's the same thing with the human body. So you want to make your body a superior battery. So right now, most of the people listening and watching, they probably got too much calcium, not enough magnesium, and they've got other imbalances. And the magnesium helps with a lot of that. So you want to make yourself the best battery it could be. So
Yeah,
hopefully that
that's
makes
kind
sense. Yeah.
of that's almost too complicated, and it's very hard to
Mm,
explain in depth. But back down to the cellular level, the
mm,
atoms, what's keeping everything in place on that molecular level, it's energy. So, think of
yes.
even just a cable or, a light. There's different components of it that keep it running. Same thing with your body. If it's not correct, it's not going to be running optimally and there's going to be issues.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. 100%. So yeah, we're electrical beings, right? I mean, we got all this other, physical stuff, but it's all connected. And it all works together, right? And magnesium is a key point, a key element, a key mineral, a key nutrient that most of us are deficient in, unfortunately.
We touched on vitamin D, but did we
Mm.
specifically say that vitamin D needs magnesium to be activated? I think we need to be really specific and simple.
Yeah. Okay. It's or maybe we haven't used the word like a cofactor or a
Yeah.
metabolite.
Yeah.
Right. So magnesium is a cofactor is probably something that many people understand. Yeah. So right, it's essential. That's why when you take magnesium, your vitamin D levels will go up.
Mhm.
Right. And you'll feel better, because of the increase in vitamin D because you had enough magnesium to activate it. Right. So we've got all these, and that's maybe the most important thing with magnesium. Maybe if we use that word a cofactor, it's a cofactor or a metabolite for so many things. You'll also hear it's like a coenzyme for many enzymes. So it's necessary. Magnesium is necessary to make many other things useful. So yeah, so I think that's really, really key for vitamin D and other stuff. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's hard to keep it simple because magnesium is involved in so many complicated things. And yeah, I don't just take your magnesium and just trust us. I mean, it's really even more than we know, because as much as we do know, we still know really nothing, right? I mean, it's like endless amounts of
Yeah, I
information.
mean, those people eating caviar in caves probably know everything there is to know about magnesium, but they're not going to tell us.
Right.
So let's go through
Mhm.
the things you put on that presentation, and let's kind of like
Oh, okay.
let's briefly explain each one a
Mhm.
little more in depth and go into detail. I guess
Okay.
we could start with the heart health.
Yep, exactly. And that's related directly to the electrical health that we were talking about. And so you'll get maybe it's a very small amount of people that have something what's called POTS. I don't know if it's a small percentage, but maybe more than you know. A lot of people like they can't even stand up without feeling like they're going to have a heart attack. And it's a tachycardia syndrome. And so if you take magnesium, and in most of the cases, like the doctors, they won't say anything about it, but you take magnesium and it goes away because again, the electrical health, um, and again, this idea of a battery that we are electric, we are a battery. Your heart, you know, the muscles, right? The muscles they run on these electric impulses, right? So it's very important for heart health and not only for these specific things like POTS, but any kind of cardio issue. A lot of people will see improvements with just magnesium supplementation,
Yeah, let's
right?
move on to migraines.
Same thing again with the migraines. Now, this is going to be related more to like muscle tension stuff. So again, and it's a combination of things, right? So it's not really just one thing, but a lot of things that you're going to see here when we talk about migraines, for example, is about, or asthma, I'll even relate the two since they're kind of next to each other. You've got these muscles that are constricting uncontrollably, and then magnesium will get things to relax the way it also will do in the digestive tract. And the laxative effects are a little bit more complicated than that, but we can also restore, I don't have written on here, but we can restore the migrating motor complex issues sometimes. Again, because of the muscles, we get to control those muscle contractions. We get things to relax, to contract properly, and the issues go away, right? That the migraine headaches go away, heart palpitations go away, etc. Right. So asthma, even asthma. So again, this is because the lungs can relax and the people can breathe.
Where does that tie into you talk about migraines in the brain? How does it tie in with the improved memory?
Improved memory is actually not related to the muscle issue. The migraines and the memory would be two different things. So the brain needs magnesium for its processing in many different ways. It also needs chloride, by the way, which is again why magnesium chloride is really excellent, especially if you do the magnesium right on your head. And so there'll be different products. For example, they'll say that the some magnesium supplements will pass the brain barrier better than others,
No, it's
but it's nonsense, right? It's
nonsense.
nonsense because the quantity of magnesium oil that you can put on your body exceeds any other way to supplement. You can't consume tons of
It's like
magnesium.
saying, okay, this tequila is better because it's going to make you more drunk than that beer. But
Yeah, right.
the guy drank 40 beers, so it doesn't really
Yeah,
matter.
right. There you go. There you go. Exactly. Exactly.
There's nothing
Exactly.
limiting how much magnesium we can take.
Right, right. Yeah, right. So, and it's the same thing. So, with the improving your memory, again, you can get a ton in there. You can put it right on your head for if you want to supposedly target it. It doesn't have to be on your head. It doesn't matter. It's
I better
going to
pour
be
this on my head right
circulating.
now.
Yeah, yeah. Why not? So, actually, I didn't do mine today. But yeah, so people will see marked improvement in memory because again, the brain needs magnesium for many of its functions.
Same with energy, right? It's probably a big cofactor in carbohydrate
In
and just
ATP
macronutrient metabolism.
and yeah, so in ATP production, there's like what is it? I think there's like 8 phases of ATP production. Magnesium is used in 5 of them. Okay, at
Hmm.
least if my memory serves me, your readers can check that out. So go and look at the ATP process and the steps or the phases, and you're going to see magnesium is required in most of them. And then you'll understand why just for that, for your mitochondrial health, for your ATP production, magnesium is amazing. So
Hmm.
it's gonna boost your energy for that reason alone. Yeah, so very good for that.
How did we say it
Um,
prevents asthma?
because of it helps the lungs. So what happens with asthma is that you get the muscle spasms, right?
Yeah.
And so again, there are many potential reasons for this, right? And so there are many things that will help with asthma. MSM that I mentioned earlier will also help, but it helps the muscles to relax, right? And so often you'll get an immediate or a very quick response when people, even through oral consumption, people will be able to relax. The lungs will relax because the muscles will be able to relax. So the root cause of a lot of that stuff with the muscle issues is going to be toxins. And again, both magnesium and the MSM we mentioned, they also help with the detox. So in addition to directly contributing to the electrical health and the muscle contractions, it's contributing to getting rid of the root cause, enabling the cells to detox better. Right. So kind of on two fronts, it helps with asthma, at least on two fronts, probably in other ways, because it helps in so many different ways.
So how does magnesium promote hormone health? Is it a cofactor just in a lot of those enzymatic reactions to produce the
Yes,
steroid hormones?
exactly. Right. Right. You can't make the hormones without the magnesium.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're deficient in that, you're going to be deficient in various hormones.
And it helps absorb other minerals?
Yes. Yes. So again, this idea of the cofactor.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, like with the calcium that we talked about is, well, the calcium is getting absorbed into the wrong places because of that. Right. So it's, sometimes it works a little similar into the way, like often we need certain proteins in order to absorb certain minerals, and magnesium is another cofactor for absorbing a lot of these different things. So,
Can we jump more into why it's so important for detox?
so when you are detoxing, right? Uh, so you've got your body has its own detox phases, right? Like this phase one and this phase two. It needs a lot of, again, these cofactors because it takes a toxin and then it has to combine it with other things it still creates like another toxin and then another toxin, and it's actually still toxic, and it goes into your bile and then out through the gut. So magnesium is one of those cofactors that is involved in that metabolism or those metabolic processes. It's one of those cofactors. So you can't get rid of all these toxins if you don't have enough magnesium. So that's one way. The other way that it helps with the detox is because every cell in your body is using magnesium to detox. So at the cellular level, your cells are using magnesium to get things out. And so that's why you need it at the cellular level, not just systemically, and it's also why, we talked earlier about your blood serum levels of magnesium might be okay, but
Blood serum in general is usually a horrible indicator for anything. Doesn't matter
yes,
what mineral or vitamin it is. It's usually the blood levels are tightly regulated by the body.
right,
And it's going to dump it in the fat. It's going to dump it in the organs. It's going to dump it somewhere where it shouldn't be. And unless you take a tissue sample of your liver, you're not going to know how screwed you are.
right,
And they don't do
right,
living biopsies. So
right,
unless you're about
right,
to die. So
right,
good luck
right,
getting that done.
exactly. Yeah, so you need magnesium at the ionic level, meaning atoms of magnesium in all of your cells. All of your cells use magnesium ions to help detox at the cellular level. So again, it's again why it's great topically using something very simple like just a magnesium chloride. It's very easy to get it in at the cellular level, and now the cells can detox better.
Mm-hmm.
So that can help with something like, for example, histamine issues. It's like the cells, they can't detox the histamine fast enough,
Yeah.
right? So they get clogged up. So MSM is really powerful for that. But again, magnesium is still another one of the important cofactors for assisting with detox at the
Yeah.
cellular
It's
level.
really, I mean, it's really difficult with the modern lives now, how hard it is just to get every single vitamin and mineral in a minimal amount and not have to worry about everything basically being a miracle cure because you were so deficient in it.
Right, right, exactly. And again, for some people, yeah, it is, but we want it right. We got to take a holistic perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Just that magnesium happens to hit on so many different angles,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's so important, but it's not going to cure everything,
Yeah.
right? And not all by itself,
Yeah. I
right?
think we've convinced everyone that there's a lot of problems in our modern diets with magnesium deficiency, food
Hmm.
quality. We kind of
Right.
explained how to supplement it. Let's just give really, really specific details. So, what foods are best for magnesium? How much magnesium should you take? How long should you take it?
Right. So I would say, well, we know that the meats are good. Following a Western A price type of diet, get the healthiest food you can, right? The pastured meats. Yeah, of course you're selling good meats, right?
Yeah.
Get your fruits and veggies, from the farms. It's a little bit tricky. Like I try not to recommend very specific food items because different people in different parts of the world, they might have a fruit or vegetable that's 10 times better than
Yeah.
something I might recommend in the US.
Yeah.
But that general idea, get the best quality food you can. You're going to spend your money, spend it on the food because it's definitely worth it because you're going to get more that way. And then supplement with the magnesium oil. So I mean, a lot of people on your channel are, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of people, they're carnivore based. They're probably still consuming a lot of really good meats. I hope they're consuming good meats because you're going to get more magnesium that
Yeah.
way.
I mean, there's still a lot of blowback from the carnivores, the grain fed meat, conventional pushers, but
Uh,
it's most people, especially on my channel, do eat the high quality stuff.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth it because you're like we talked about it before. It's the soils that have been raped of magnesium. But if you're getting meat and fruit and vegetables from responsible farmers that really are doing like regenerative farming, there's much better chance that
I
you're going
don't
to have
like that
enough.
word now because it's being thrown around like
It's
nonsense, but
trendy,
there's
right?
a lot of
Yeah.
the quality of the pasture that directly translates to the quality of the meat. And when you get really
Hmm.
crazy about that stuff and some lunatic farmer wants to charge you $60 a pound for filet tenderloin because he gave the cattle a
Oh,
magnesium supplement, what you got to really do is just figure out what you need to supplement in your diet and just get a
mm,
reasonably high quality
right,
source of meat.
right. Yeah, and magnesium oil is like it's the cheapest,
So
easiest
what
way.
what
Of
numeric value are we looking for per day? Are we starting with 500 milligrams? Are we going up to 1 gram? How high are we going? How low do we want to start with?
So, so since we can't be sure of how much a person is absorbing if they're doing internally, the goal is to actually absorb 300 to 400 milligrams a day.
Yeah.
But it's very hard to know if that's happening. Even topically, you're not going to absorb 100% of it. But so you can really go overboard. Yeah, you can go 1,000,
Mm.
with no problem. So I like for people to try to get in touch with their body. Don't be afraid to go overboard with the topical. We do have to, again, right? We have to worry about the digestive tract if we go overboard internally. But again, you try, like you said, maybe some people are able to take 500 milligrams internally with various different supplements, and they might feel great. They might swear by it. So it's up to the person. We're all different. Just for me, the safest, most effective recommendation I can make is the magnesium chloride topically, and you can also try it internally. Dilute it and take. Don't. By the way, don't spray that magnesium oil in your mouth, or you
Doesn't
can.
taste too
It'll
good.
feel like an electric shock. Yeah, it's you could try it for fun. I mean, it's not going to kill anybody. Um, but I've had some funny stories with people accidentally doing that. But you can dilute it and then you can take it internally. So yeah, the target for absorption is 300 to 400 milligrams a day. Yeah. So it's just that's the trick. What are you actually absorbing? All right. That's the key. So we need to listen. We need to listen to the body, right? We just need
Yeah.
to go
So
by
just so you
trial and
guys
error.
know, there's 23 grams of magnesium in this bottle. So this is 237 milliliters, quarter liter, and you would probably spray this on your body over the course of 2 or 3 weeks at a very high dose. So
Mm.
you can basically, if you want to make your own, you can look at how much is in this and basically just copy it. Say, hey, if you have an 8 ounce
Mm.
bottle of magnesium spray, you want to put roughly 25 grams of magnesium in that.
Yeah, that's a cool way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then adjust it to what feels good to your skin.
yeah.
Yeah, if it's too strong for you, yeah, you can dilute it and then just spray it over a larger area of your skin or spray it more frequently. And so it's pretty flexible. That's the other thing I like about doing it topically. That flexibility. Yeah, it works out good. I think we covered just about
Yeah, we went
everything.
really
Yeah,
in
yeah.
depth. We
Here was
above and
some.
beyond for
Yeah.
sure.
There's
And
some. I could have gone into other things. It helps with gallstones, kidney stones. There's just so many things that it helps with. It's like just impossible to
well,
cover
yeah, kidney
everything
stones
because
a lot of time are just
yeah,
calcium. Yeah, they're basically calcium.
yeah, and that's exactly why that's helping to get rid of it, right? So it's
What
helping to
was
pull
it?
that whole thing
There's
out.
a Italian mineral water. It'll probably come to me after this,
San
but
Pellegrino.
no, not Pellegrino.
No.
There, it's a different one. It was very low mineral from a certain mountain. It was famous for getting rid of people's kidney stones, and the water happened
Oh,
to be low calcium with some magnesium in it.
with high, probably a high. Well,
Yeah.
that's also that's the secret behind a lot of these miracle um, baths that people go to.
Aqua
These.
di Fiuggi. Fiuggi. I don't know if I'm saying it
Oh,
right.
really? Oh, man, no, I don't
Fiuggi.
even know it.
It's spelled Fiuggi. Fiuggi.
Oh, yeah, I
I
don't
used
even
to
know
go
that.
down to Arthur Avenue, and all the
That's cool.
Italian shops in the Bronx had that type of water. Fiuggi.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Huh, that's pretty funny. Yeah, I wasn't even familiar with it, but it makes perfectly sense because that matches up with a lot of the miracle healing wells and stuff. It's because of a lot of times it's because it's very high in magnesium, and we're so
Mhm.
magnesium deficient. You know, like Epsom salt baths, right? It's not as efficient as doing magnesium oil, but an Epsom salt bath is another way to get magnesium in.
Yeah.
You know, and it helps the detox at the same time too.
Yeah.
So yeah, so yeah, I mean, there's so much great information out there. So many, and a lot of good products, a lot of ways to get your magnesium.
Hmm.
But eat the good food, you know,
Yeah.
eat the good meat.
Yeah. It's
It
more
it
about
pays.
more about
Yeah.
removing the negatives than overloading the positive. That's for sure.
Yes. Yes. Right. The more positive things we can do, the more negative things we can tolerate.
Yeah.
So again, that's
So
why it's.
yeah, Victor, thanks
Yeah.
again for joining me this week.
Hey, thank you, man. Thanks for having me again. That was a blast, and yeah, there is. I'm sure we forgot like 100 things because there's just so much to talk about with magnesium. But yeah, hey, it was a pleasure, and I look forward to doing more. And hey, I hope things continue to go well with the meat business because that's we need the good food to get the magnesium.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so
So
just
I'll
keep
I'll
getting
link
that
all
out
of
there.
Victor's stuff down below, the website, his YouTube channel. Definitely go check out his stuff. And yeah, I think we'll put together something else for you guys in a week or two. Just let us know what you think down below and what you guys would like us to talk about.
Awesome. I'm excited. Sounds good. Thanks again, Frankie.
Yeah. Thanks guys for joining us. We'll see you next week.